welcome to the next big part of using your goal-getting guidebook, the spreadsheet version, where we dive into setting goals for 2018. Now, I hope you're joining me in the live Facebook group as we work through this exercise, because this is really the first big, fun group exercise for us to do together is setting that take-home pay goal. And please also make sure that you read all the good info waiting for you in the printed version of the guidebook, where I talk about how you want to be thinking about this goal, remembering and refreshing yourself on your why, etc. I'm really just showing you here how to use the spreadsheet. I'm not talking about all the goal setting methodology and concepts, so make sure you refer to your workbook for that. So after going through all those thought exercises, you're ready to set your take-home pay goal for 2018 in your spreadsheet. For my example business, I want to have a take-home pay goal. I want to actually be able to pay myself $20,000 from my business. That is my goal. That's how much I want to be able to transfer out of my shop's bank account and put in my personal checking account for the course of 2018, $20,000. And then I'm going to say my cushion for reinvesting in the biz, like the minimum that I want to keep in that business bank account for a rainy day opportunity, is $2,000. Those are the only two numbers that you need to enter on this tab: your take-home pay goal and your cushion for reinvesting in the biz. The spreadsheet's going to crunch everything else for you. That means your 2018 net income goal is these two numbers added together, 22,000. And this is saying, what was your profit margin from last year? Well, we already calculated that 2017's profit margin was 44%. And remember, what is profit margin? It's your business's net income for the year divided by the revenue for the year. It's saying how much, if you want to pay yourself, it's basically saying if you want a net income, that's sales minus expenses, of $22,000 next year, and you had a profit margin of 44% last year, what do your total sales need to be to get to this net income number if you have the same profit margin in 2018? So in this case, it's doing the math for you. It's working backwards to solve for your sales, and that would be pretty much $50,000. Okay, and then we can work backwards from that to solve for what expenses would need to be. So let me type this out for you. Just remember that sales minus expenses equals your net income, okay? And then your net income divided by your sales equals your profit margin percentage. So we know our profit margin percentage from last year. We just set a goal for what we wanted our net income to be this year. So I'm able to use these numbers to solve for sales. So at this point, I'm saying, okay, if I make sales of this, and then I minus out my expenses, that's going to leave me with my net income goal of $22,000. All right. So now I can solve, think about 7th grade algebra. Now I can solve for X, which is expenses. Spreadsheet's doing all this math for you. I'm just explaining what it's doing in case you're curious. So now it's saying, okay, 49,500 blah, 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 in sales. Solving for X, that means that my expenses are going to be that much in order to make my net income goal that I set myself. So you started with this end, you started with your net income goal, and you were able to work backwards based on last year's profit margin to figure out your total sales and expense goals. Okay, now yeah, this is putting a lot of pressure on last year's profit margin being correct. And again, if you are worried about that, there's more information in the printable guidebook about how to deal with that. The spreadsheet's going to bring in your average sale per order from last year, which you calculated right here. That's going to travel right here, and then it's going to say, okay, if I need to make 50K, just under 50K in sales to meet my goal, to meet my take-home pay goal of $20,000, About how many sales is that? If I make about $47.95 per sale. So it's just your total sales divided by your average dollar amount per sale. That means you have to make 1,034 sales in 2018 to meet your goal. Does that seem reasonable to you? Does this number that you're calculating here seem reasonable to you? Considering that last year you made this many in sales, you made this many orders, 490 for my example business. That's just about double. Can I double my sales orders in 2018? Yeah, I think I can do that. If yours seems really outrageous, then let's tweak this. Let's think about ways we can increase your average dollar amount per order. Maybe you need to raise prices. Maybe you need to bundle. Don't want to get all into this because it's in the workbook, so check there. But this is how you start. This is the basis, this take-home pay number that you're setting right here. This is the basis for all the planning and goal setting we're going to do for 2018. Everything that we're doing from this part forward is all about how can we achieve this number. Because if you're not able to pay yourself from your business, then you're not going to be in business for very long. You're going to get tired, you're going to get fed up, it's not going to be fulfilling, and you're going to quit. So everything that we do from this point forward is all about being able to meet this goal of paying yourself that amount. That's pretty exciting, huh? I think it's exciting. Being able to pay yourself from your business is super fulfilling and rewarding. And you deserve to make money from your hard work. All right, so now we know the basic goals for 2018. Your sales, your expenses, your net income. So let's take a look at the 2018 budget. The word budget is going to be all about figuring out your expense goals for 2018. You can use the word budget, you can use the word expense goals, whatever feels least painful to you, because no one likes really thinking about spending money. But that's what we're doing on this purple 2018 budget tab. And actually, you don't need to do anything. The spreadsheet is crunching all these numbers for you. All that it's doing here, it's saying, here's how much you spent on these categories last year. And here's how much you say your goal is to spend this year, which is based on what we just figured out. This number is just traveling forward right here. So if I spend 66% of that amount again this year on raw materials and supplies, I'm budgeting $18,000 for my raw materials and supplies expense. Okay, I need to budget about $1,400 for Etsy fees, etc., etc. It's doing that math for you. Now, again, this is all based on last year, so these numbers could look really wonky to you, or maybe you don't have much going on in 2017 to where you feel like you can really trust these percentages. Again, check out the workbook, got some more guidance for you there, but these cells are not locked. You can override to match what you think it needs to be. I really stocked up last year on beads and fabric or whatever. I don't think I'm going to try and be more lean on ordering raw materials and supplies, or I'm going to start purchasing wholesale supplies. So I don't think I'm going to spend 66% of that amount on raw materials this year. I think that it's going to be more like 50%. So I'm going to change that. Or if you don't want to change the percentage, maybe you want to say, I think that budgeting more like 15,000 is a little more realistic. Or maybe it needs to be bigger. You know, you adjust it however you think is going to make sense. I know this year that I'm going to go to the whatever conference that costs $2,000. So I'm going to work that into this budget. You know, tweak however you think needs to be tweaked. I'm ready to invest in a VA this year. So I'm going to up this to $4,000. Keep playing with this number. Remember that ideally it's going to tie back to here. But if it doesn't, that's okay. Maybe we need to make some adjustments. You know, maybe that goal number needs to change. Change it to where it works with what you think is going to happen in 2018. All the stats and percentages here and what happened last year is just a guide to give you a base, a foundation to start setting SMART goals, but you don't have to live and die by them. You can tweak. you can tweak it here, and it's actually going to travel forward here where we break it down again. Speaking of that, let's take a look at the 2018 goal breakdown. In the workbook, I have you break things down on this blank calendar called the 2018 Break It Down page. So in the spreadsheet, we're just kind of saying, all right, here's a refresher of your goals. This is what you said was your goal for 2018. Let's take these numbers and break them down by month. It's as simple as that. And I've got more info on, when 2018 holidays and important dates are in the guidebook. So you can kind of know, like, all right, this is when Mother's Day is. I'm going to anticipate an influx of orders, the month before that. Or, I always do better around the holidays and summer is slow, etc. So what I've done here is I know that my goal is about $50,000 in sales. I've taken $50,000 and broken it out by month. And while you do this, you might say, let me look at what happened last year. All right. I see that May was a good month. Things started picking up in about August. And then, of course, November, December were my two highest grossing. So it's going to look kind of like that. Again, the seasons and the trends are going to repeat themselves from year to year. So, don't put yourself making like $10,000 in February if February historically has been a slower month for you. And then you would do the same thing for your expenses. And then you can break that down into the number of orders. I know that I'm hoping to make about 1,000 orders next year. In the year. So what does that look like on a month-to-month basis? What's 1,000 divided by 12? Or let me break that down by month. How many orders here to get these sales? Is 40 orders for $1,700 of sales realistic? Is that doable? So you're breaking this out by month, with the goal that the annual totals here are going to be pretty close to the goals you've already set. If you don't get there by the exact dollar, it's okay. You'll see that I'm off by like $3 here and a couple thousand here, and that's okay. This is an art. It's not an exact science. We're setting goals. So when I did this example, I'm doing it with totally fake data. It's not a real business, but even then, it took me a long time to break it out in a way that made sense. So it's going to take you a while to work through this. It's going to be some trial and error. And while you're doing it, it's not just about getting these numbers to all jive. You want to actually think about whether these monthly goals are realistic. You've got annual goals that you feel good about. Now you want to break it down by month and you want it to be realistic. Can I fill 160 orders in a month? Is that doable? You need to be asking yourself these questions, because if you ever find that it's not realistic, it's time to go back to the drawing board. It's time to change a goal somewhere. Maybe your net income goal needs to change. Maybe your expenses need to go down. Maybe you can't make $50,000 in sales, but you can bring your expenses down by $10,000 and make $10,000 less in sales and still achieve that same result. This is all about tweaking. We're refining. We're working from the big picture down to the month by month now to figure out what our monthly goals need to be to achieve that big take-home pay goal. Again, it's also calculating your profit margin percentage, so that you can compare that to last year's and see if this number feels reasonable. All right, now for the next tab on the spreadsheet, we've got this blue 2018 products tab, and we've kind of broken down so far what our sales and our number of orders need to be in order to reach our goals to get that take-home pay. Now we're going to break it down by product, and you're not necessarily going to sit here and figure out the math of like, I need to sell 103 pairs of these earrings and 200 rings, and you don't necessarily have to break it down by product, because it's really unrealistic to attempt to estimate, what the product breakout or mix is going to be for an entire year. But the main goal of this exercise is pick some of those best-selling, either by dollar amount or items sold, products in your shop and enter them in these cards. I just want you to take a look at the profit margin on a product by product basis of some of these best-selling items. So for example, I've got dangle earrings for my example business here. Remember, you're inputting info on the white cells and letting the colored cells do the calculations for you. So I sell these earrings for $40. They cost me $15 to create. If you've got something like the inventory cost and pricing spreadsheet from Paper and Spark, then you're going to be able to know how much each product you create costs you to create. So in this example, I'm saying that this pair of dangle earrings that I sell for $40 cost me $15 in raw materials and supplies to create. So that's giving me a profit margin of $25 per item. And let's say I sell about 50 of those. And again, this is a guess. And if your products are totally unique and you're recreating them every time, like you might sell earrings, but you don't sell the same pair or design of earrings over and over. It's a totally unique creation every time. Just use, average numbers and estimates. That's totally fine. So if I sell about 50 of those, if I think selling 50 of those sounds pretty realistic, then that's going to contribute $2,000 to my bottom line in sales, my total sales for the year. And that's going to contribute $1,250 for my total net income each year, working me closer to what my goal of $22,000 was. So you can do this for your products. And then once you get this information, it just, again, is another piece of that puzzle of first, am I working towards that net income goal and does it seem reasonable? Is this product helping me get there? And second, it's helping you look at the profit margin or the profitability of the products that you're creating. So again, kind of like with these pie charts and stuff that we made for 2017, you're really asking yourself if the products that you're creating are profitable and helping you make money so that you can pay yourself at the end of the day. If you have any products here that have really low profit margins, considering the materials that go into them or considering how good or bad these products sell and considering how much time and work and craftsmanship goes into that product, that's going to cause you to ask some questions and make some changes. Is this product worth it? Do I need to tweak how I create this item? Do I need to scrap it? Do I need to raise the price to make it more profitable? Do I need to figure out how I can change my costs? Or maybe I just need to put less energy into this product and focus my energy on this other product that has a better profit margin. You've probably known somewhere deep inside, what items make the most sense for you to focus on, or maybe you have no idea that this was a product that is not truly making you a lot of money. So looking at it in this way is probably an exercise that you haven't done yet as a business owner. So just working through it might shed some light on changes that you can make or actions you can take to run your business more effectively in order to reach that take-home pay goal, which is the goal of this whole process, right? So after this, there's a lot more in the guidebook. The spreadsheet kind of stops with the number crunching for the goal setting here, and you go back to your guidebook to kind of break down in words the lessons that you've learned from this number crunching exercise. So this is the time to go back to your guidebook. You're going to come up with your focus points for the year, where you basically take the goals that you've set and the numbers you've figured out, break them out again by month, and think about what you need to focus on to reach those goals. So you've got like a big picture overview of your year now. You're breaking down focus points for each month, and those might be qualitative things like work on developing X product line or the holiday line, or, focus on Facebook Lives so that I can build my audience and grow my email list or whatever. Those are the types of qualitative focus points that you might have. And they might also be quantitative, which are going to be things like reaching those sales goals that you set for the month or not going over your expense budget, etc. Back in the workbook. That's going to go onto your guide map for the year, which again in the workbook, but you want to have this filled out with all your numbers and goodness. And then this is what you're going to hang up like on your office wall, on your bathroom mirror, on your desktop, whatever you need to do so that you see it throughout the year and you can stay on track.